the show. Will Robertson, of course. I almost said acting up live. Because remember, if you remember, and you're one of the people that's been following with this show for, I would say, almost 7 years, it used to be called Acting Up Radio because I was a radio guy. And now, most people probably 30 and under probably have to Google the word radio. So anyway, but now it is filmfestivallive.com, and myself and Sal, who is in the East Coast. So I'm in the West Coast. I'm in the Hollywood, whatever, LA area, and the show, and where we are talking to film festival people, not really actors per se. I don't like the competition. Anyway, but we talk to producers, directors, film festival people, because if you don't know this, I don't care what you have. This is the time and the place to be an actor. But please get educated. Don't tell me you did it on Google, please. It's like telling me you found out that you might have something weird on your body. You went to Dr. Google. Don't do it. Get out there, get trained. But the best place to do it, wow, film festivals. I mean, seriously, some of the people, well, everybody. I mean, you're talking about people that, I started in 81-ish or so as an actor. And I'm here to tell you that none of this stuff obviously existed then. We had black and white photos, which were awesome, which is kind of funny because back in the day, black and white photos, they would say, oh, yeah, because I was up in the Bay Area, San Francisco area, and they'd say, oh, you have to have black and white. You can't do color. Because if you have color, you're hiding something because you can airbrush it. I'm like, cool, I understand. Because I remember having my composite and 4 shots. And anyway, old days. But now, obviously, if you put someone a black and white photo, they go, that's cool and artistic, but why? So anyway, with that being said, we have the best time, in my opinion, to be able to be in this industry because you can take and produce things on pretty much anything. Thank you, Blair Witch, and all that, because, you can film it through your dirty underwear and people go, wow, that's a neat, really cool Lux. Anyway, so if you're not doing all this, this is the show to listen to so I can constantly remind you that you're behind the times. If you're producing stuff, shooting, what doesn't matter what it is you do in this industry. If you're not doing this stuff constantly, you might want to consider getting that job as a barista. So with that being said, welcome to the show. And today is Friday. And we're going to have a great show. I've got 2 great guests. I'm very excited. I'm going to get to them soon. My first guest actually is going to get the award for showing up early. And I have to tell you, I didn't know what to do with him. I was like, oh, Ben, I don't know how you doing. So what's going on? Where are you from? Yeah, cool. But he was there, ready to go. Strong internet signal. Thank God. Because sometimes, you watch. And I'm like, this is my guest, Monet. Oh, and I'm like, wow, this is really crazy looking. But it is something new, live streaming. I mean, I took this up when COVID started. Not really took it up because I'd always been a talk show producer, so I know how to make my clock and do different things. But when COVID happened, I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and do nothing. Do I look like that guy? No. So I basically turned my one of my homes, I'm not going to lie to you, it's my bedroom, so I have to break this down every night. Because my wife's like, you can't leave that stuff up, and created a live stream. But we wanted to give you a show that didn't look like it was being filmed in your bathroom. So here we are, and we're ready to go. And my first guest, very excited. He's in London right now, or in England. He was in a place with a volcano. And he was supposed to be on the show before, but unfortunately, he kind of left us a note, which is kind of funny, really, because it's like, hey, I'm sorry I can't be there because unfortunately right next to me is a smoldering pile of lava, and I don't think I can be on. So we're like, cool, you're good. So I'm very excited. I'm going to show you a really cool little thing at the Arctic Film Festival. Watch this, and we'll be back with our guest. Hang tight. I am torn between the penguins and the dude in the boat. Welcome to the show, Ben. How are you? How do you say your last name?
It's Wiebe.
See, I would have butchered the living daylight out of that. Wiebe.
It's German. Yeah.
Wiebe. Oh, now that I say it with my German dialect, I get it. Wow.
Yeah, and you'll have it the right way. Better than Americans usually say it.
I'm good. That's why I usually have people on just to make sure I can get their names right. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am happy to be here.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you're here. And by the way, I have to tell you, I looked at your stuff because I try to get as much of an education about the people we're going to have on the show, and you got a lot. I mean, you have a
Thanks,
lot
man.
of you're like you got a lot of things, and everything on it looks fantastic and very professional. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But one of the things that I was told is that you kind of have a little grasp on film festival stuff. So let's
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that. The film festival that we were just watching, it's going on right now. Give us a little Reader's Digest version about what's going on in your life.
Yeah, so I mean, right now, just based on that video, our Arctic Film Festival is going on today and tomorrow in Svalbard. And for anyone who doesn't know, Svalbard is the northernmost city in the world. So I mean, you can hike to the North Pole, but
Yeah,
in terms of cities, there's 2,000 people that live up there, and that is essentially the North Pole. So our team is there now, and we've been running that with the United Nations as a SMART project. So the whole goal of it is really to champion social impact films,
great.
especially that highlight, things that are going on in the Arctic region, right? Because it's underrepresented, right? You don't
A
hear a lot
little.
about what affects these communities and stuff. So it's kind of a personal sense of pride that we can do that. And actually, it started because we tried to go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
We wanted to run an event there, and it's very very hard to go there. And we asked the Americans and the Australians, we're like, could we go and run a film festival where we highlight like the science and research and stuff like that, and films about the work being done.
Sure.
And they said no. And
Yeah.
so we said, well, sometimes to go south, you have to go north.
Sure.
So yeah, so we went to the Arctic instead, and they were like, let's do it. So
Wow. Okay, I gotta ask you. I know this is probably a silly question, but is there any sort of Santa Claus sort of artwork going on when you do that? Honestly, do you have an award,
there
a
are.
special award for people who are jolly and happy?
We should do that. There is actually a mailbox that you can mail letters to Santa Claus to,
Yeah.
up there. And I don't
Really?
know if anyone, yeah, I don't know if, because people do, they would, and
That
they
is
would find
funny.
out. Yeah, so it's a thing. It's definitely a
Yeah,
thing.
it is the thing. Uh, so you've been doing this for a while. How long has the festival been in existence?
So the Arctic Festival is technically in its third year because
Okay.
of COVID. Naturally, a lot of these events, right, we had
Yeah.
to postpone. So we're able to finally be back to live events and hosting a 2020 and 2021 version together.
Right.
Um,
That's cool.
so yeah, so most of our festivals, because we run several,
Yes, you
um,
do.
and and the whole goal, most of them are free to attend,
Wow,
because our whole goal is really just to support communities,
very nice.
champion vast perspectives, of people in about stories in on screen, and from the people helming these projects too.
Okay.
So the Arctic actually, and our Santorini Film Festival, which just happened in August, were our first chances to return to live events, and so I'm very happy to be able
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Well, I mean,
have that
it's
be.
funny when you say that you say live events. I'm just imagining like, how am I going to get there? Do I have to have a sled? Or am I just being
Uh,
like typical American going, oh, yeah, it's funny, Will. Yeah, I get it. No one ever says Santa or sled.
oh, you can go sledding there. Our
Can
our,
you?
our team actually, yeah. I mean, we just posted a
Whole
one
different
too. Our
meaning to
C,
team, by the
our
way.
yeah. I mean, our CEO was dog sledding just yesterday, and we got some
You're
photos of that.
killing me. You're killing me.
Yeah,
That's why I said whole different meaning to the word team. What the hell? The team, they're all wolves. Anyway,
yeah,
uh,
yep. And polar bears.
let's talk about the industry and what's happening. How long have
Yeah.
you been in the industry?
Just over 15 years.
Yeah,
I actually started working in LA, and have just moved around a lot, New York and
right.
Denmark, and now the UK. Yeah.
So 15 years ago, we were probably on an iPhone 3, and the idea of most of this equipment was probably another $10,000 or something, in the 4K or whatever. The point is that the equipment has changed, the delivery has changed, who can do it, how we can do it, why we can do it, social media. Can I ask you if there's any particular thing that you think has changed the most from when you started?
Oh, I mean, I think you've already kind of pinpointed it. It's just that there's so much more access. So, for instance, there's way more places that people can look to for distribution options and support options, right? It's way less streamlined. So, all these people who feel like I don't have access to big money or I don't have access to the highest tech gear, right? Or top level esteemed, participants on your crew,
Yeah.
those kind of things. And that's less of a concern now, I think, because there are just a lot more options in terms of how you can shoot things. You're even mentioning being able to shoot things on your phone. It's all those kind of things are absolutely valid. And so what I try and share with people, especially these festivals, is don't feel like you have to wait until you have $1 million or wait until you have this, right? But take what you can,
Mhm.
and make something. And that's also why we champion short films too, right? People have said, oh, short films are like a great vehicle to work towards features. And I was like, well, why do you have to say it like that? Short films can stand on their own. You can tell brilliant stories in short films. and
Absolutely.
and it's way more accessible to be able to do it without big money and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we really try and support people making more short films,
And I
especially. Yeah.
appreciate you saying that, because again, one of the things, those are what I guess I would call sort of campfire stories, is that people are intimidated by the whole idea of producing and putting something together. Because it's like, oh, I have to have a team, like you said, of this, and I want to have a red camera, whatever the case may be. But when you do get there, there's nothing wrong with short films, because as we're seeing, our attention spans are becoming shorter. So, with that being
Yes.
said, you go on Instagram and you're seeing, 40 billion views for someone that's going, hey, hey, okay,
Right.
cool. Or you hear about production companies that are being paid $5 million to do a 5 second viral. And
Right.
the point is that why wait? You have it in front of you, and if anything, I guess, and you probably agree with this, is that it is a learning curve if you're starting out, and this will help you jump in with hands and feet. So I think that's great that you have that position on short films.
Yeah, and it's I've noticed too in so many conversations, a lot of people are so great at figuring out what kind of story they want to tell, but then they have no idea where it's going to go. And so also just helping people think in that early phase about where they want it to go, or where it's appropriate or the kind of people who'd want to see it,
Sure.
is also just a huge part because, like you said too, because there are a lot more options for people, that means that they can think a lot earlier in the process about where it could go.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I have questions all the time that come to me as a professional actor, and my friends and people that know me, or people that find me on Instagram, and go, I would do it, but unfortunately, hey, you shoot, you edit, you whatever. And I'm like, yeah, well, maybe we could do something. I'm like, yeah, but you got to bring something to the party too. I
right.
think the biggest problem is that most of the time, I'm speaking from the actor standpoint, although I do all the production. From an actor standpoint, I tend to find that actors are lazy. There we go. And they don't really take the time. I'm like, I can edit on my phone I have like a bin of like 25 different apps that I use, including LumaVision and iMovie and so the point is that people are like, I don't know where to start. I'm like, again, use your phone. But I think you're right in the sense that people have more ideas than they do action. And I think
Yeah.
that's where film festivals come in.
Well, and it's easy to feel like, oh, I have a great idea. I mean, everything starts with great ideas, right? But yeah, I think a lot of people get stuck at the idea stage, and then it's like, but can you execute it? It's, even if you don't get a formal meeting with someone, if you get into conversation at all, it's get used to talking about whatever project you have to talk about, because you should be able to articulate eloquently how you think you could execute it. And that doesn't mean you have to know everything about how
No,
to also make a budget, or how to also, right,
but you have to
every
know how to
piece of it.
start.
But yeah, and that's how you just gain confidence. And some of these pitches end up being, heard and really tuned in by people, just because they can tell the confidence is coming from you, that you've done your homework,
That's
right?
right.
And that
Yeah.
that doesn't even have as much to do with whether they think the story is good.
Right. Well, one thing, and I want to sort of see if you have a take on this. I hear this a lot, is that back in the old days, you would say, oh, here's a script, here's the breakdown. If it's a series, here's the Bible, whatever. Here's everything for you. I'm hearing now that a lot of the places like the Netflix, because I've done 2 or 3 Netflix films, and I know that people have done them, and they're like, oh, you have to give it to them ready, and they can. I'm
Right.
hearing that is the kind of the new thing, saying it's because maybe they did that because they got tired of people coming up and going, I got an idea. Well, yeah, everybody's
No,
got
no,
an
they
idea.
did. No, they did. I mean, the old term was packaging, right?
Yeah,
What's packaging? And now it's packaged. Is it packaged already?
yeah,
Have you? So yeah, you have to. If you're going to bring something to, yeah, say Netflix, or any distributor or
whatever. Yeah,
studio or someone to financially back it, yeah, they want you to have done the work to get as many attachments and key pieces together as possible.
yeah,
So yeah, that is the new model, because they are used to tons of people. And I mean, being in LA, you've probably seen this. I mean, I remember being at a party in LA one of the last times there, and I had a conversation interrupted 3 times by people who wanted to pitch the person I was talking to something. Hey, I got this great idea. Hey, I got this great idea. Right? And so everyone thinks they have a great idea, and so you know that these people of influence are just thrown stuff every day,
every day.
right? And so they don't have time. So
No,
you got to do the work.
you
Yeah, you
got
got
to
to do
do
the
the
work.
work because you don't want to be the person at the party. And I'll tell you, I don't do a lot of the party, but I do know that I've done enough to where I've stood there with people that I know, and then people come up and go, and most of the time they're actors going, I'm going to show you. This is my demo. I'm like, is that a DVD that
Right.
you have in your hands? What am I going to do with the DVD? I can throw it
That
and
doesn't
build
work
with
anymore.
it, but
Yeah.
it
I mean,
it
that's
it
the other thing too, keeping up with the times. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it blows my mind. And then the ones that really are difficult to swallow is when they say, and I've got music on there and I sing. I'm like, oh shit, we're in trouble. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's also the side of it of, everyone should feel like their voice is empowered, right? But that also means you should be thinking about, do you actually have something to say?
Yeah,
And not everyone does,
no,
right? So like that, I mean, that's why for me, I always tried to work in support of people who I thought had something good to say, because I was like, myself as a storyteller, I don't feel like there's a particular story I want to tell. I want to support other people who seem very passionate about something they have to
sure,
say, and help them execute that, right? So it's like, not everyone can be CEO, man, right?
no,
And like, you need teams, you need a village, you
need
need
workers.
people who,
Yeah,
and so I think that's also something that gets lost, is the sense of community, that you really need people, and you need to nurture relationships and understand what roles might be good for you, because not everyone's meant to, be a director, or not everyone's meant to, act, or whatever it is, right? Sometimes and in this industry, it is fortunate. I think we're all fortunate that you are able to kind of explore different roles and different
yeah,
things, and you know
yeah. And I
yeah.
think you're right. I think if you were to ask anybody that's been in the business for a long enough time, you'd say, how did you start, and then where are you now? And some of the
Yeah.
people that I know of, because I've got a billion Facebook friends over the last 40 years, and they're all looking at me now going, oh my God, you did it. And I'm like, okay, not really. And they're like, but I wish I was still doing, but I have a handful of friends that say now I'm in the finance of it, or I'm in the production, or, they moved out of the actor world because that's a difficult world. And they went, oh, but I still love to do this. But that only comes in, bobbing and weaving with what the industry or whatever your passion is does, and
Yeah.
finding that maybe if you're not going to be successful on a particular area, that you are again, finding out what you can do to not leave it and become a waiter in LA. So,
Well, well, yeah, exactly. But also, even if you move on to other roles, right? That doesn't mean you ever have to abandon, certain parts of the industry, right? That you want to do.
sure.
Like keep your. I always tell people if they're passionate about a particular role they want to play, but it's hard to do that, right? Just like it's hard to get the money you want for a passion project.
Yeah,
Even the A-listers are like, you do one for them so you can do one for you,
yeah,
right? It's and so even at the biggest levels, people fight for passion projects that never get made. So knowing how difficult that is, doesn't mean you have to give up on a role you have to do, but
no,
just keep open and find opportunities in any way. Because if you love movies, you're going to want to be around making shows
right.
in whatever way you can, right? If it's really something you love, in that deep way, and it's not about being famous or it's not about the glamour, right? The When I first started, someone, it was like a production designer. She said, my favorite quote to tell friends and people not in the industry is, the most glamorous thing about what we do is that everybody thinks it's glamorous.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing about that I'll say is that I have talked to so many people over the time that I've been in this industry, and they go, "You do like a lot of things. Like I'm a Guinness World Record trick roper, gun spinner. I'm a weapons guy, and all these different things. And I
Cool.
shoot and I edit." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, one, I don't have an
I
education,
know.
so I can't go anywhere else. And then other thing is that I like to do lots of different things that keep me in the industry, because it's
Yeah,
easy to step out and go, I'm going to take a break for a couple of years, make a little bit of money, then I'll come back, and you never come back. I mean,
yeah,
that's some of the things. So
there's a lot.
keeping yourself in the creative juices and doing it, number one, doing many different things gives you more opportunities. The show, it's awesome. I love
Yeah,
doing it. I do it well. And it's cool because it gives me a chance to meet people like you. And the fact of the
exactly.
matter is that that's how you continue to, well, your mental health too. You continue to keep yourself fresh and
Absolutely.
exciting. COVID was a great example. I'll say, I know 100,000 actors. I saw 75,000 of them drop off because they're like, I got to go move back home. Okay. I got to go to another state. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, do something else in the industry,
Sure.
shoot, produce, whatever. And a lot of people don't do that. And I think that's number one, selling the depth of what they can be in this industry short. And it's also
Yeah.
giving you a shorter lifespan in this industry if you don't have something else you can do. Because if you just put your eggs in the basket in one thing, I think your opportunities are going to be a little scarce.
No, it is. I mean, it's. I think a lot of people do limit themselves that way. Um, I mean, I think if, just like the comment about, if you really love shows, you want to put yourself around them as much as possible. Then I think, yeah, if you really feel like you're a student of, storytelling, right? You're a storyteller in whatever way that takes shape.
Mm-hmm.
Then then it behooves anyone to try and learn every part of it, right?
Yep.
Just like a good producer should know what everyone does. What does a gaffer do? What does a
Right.
DP do? What is a director's real
Right.
job? What is
Yeah.
an actor's real job? Like, how do these people think? How do they process stuff? And I don't think most people really take the time to kind of try and understand all these different players that have to
Well,
come to the
certainly
table.
actors, by the way, certainly actors. Because I remember when I was in my 20s and I was doing a lot of theater. And at one point, someone came up to me and said, the director said, we booked you because you're awesome and you're very funny. But, you kind of have to stop acting like the actor that wants their red M&Ms in their dressing room. And I'm like, oh, sorry. They go, yeah, you need to understand and respect the other parts. And I'm like, God, I feel bad. And that was a turning point, because what it made me realize is that if an actor truly, or actually anybody in the industry doesn't really know what, finding your mark or understanding what it looks like from this side, and you're here, I'm sorry, you're not going to get the performance you need because there's not the respect that you should be getting from both sides because you're working together, storytelling, to be able to put something together that really is cohesive. If you're over there and sitting there with your waiting for your red M&Ms, I don't know. I think you should learn more about all the industry.
Well, I mean, it's a great point because every project, and that's something that I find really fun and unique about storytelling. That's why every film festival is different. Every year
Mm-hmm.
presents new challenges and new, interesting stories and stuff, right? And even massively different stories coming from the same people, right? So you always find that things are shifting, things are changing, but that it almost makes you feel like no one has deserves any right to become arrogant in our industry because every project is different.
Yeah.
You really can't say you're a total master because
Yeah.
your next show might have completely new challenges, and so that's why it's awesome to hear anyone say, why'd you pick this as your next thing? And you're like, well, it's challenging. I don't think I've done one like this before,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that that can be true for everyone. Is that there are ways to keep challenging ourselves, and there's new stuff, and that's what keeps
Absolutely.
us humble. And
Yeah.
man, if there's anything that like COVID could teach any of us, I would hope it would be like patience and compassion, so we don't all get arrogant.
Yeah, no, that is a very good fact. There is, I'll just make the statement, there is only one master, and he is sitting on your bookshelf right now.
Ah, snap!
Uh,
Which
Other
one?
side, there he is. Wait, I'm gonna go to the wide shot just to show everybody. I noticed this early on. There's Baby Yoda.
Ah, yes, full
Only
of wisdom.
can only depend on Baby Yoda. He's pretty
I
awesome,
got
or
I
she.
gotta take that wisdom with me.
May the force be with you. Ben,
That's right.
awesome time hanging out with you, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. Is there any of the film festivals that you have that are currently still open for submissions? Or are there
Yeah,
many?
so I mean, no, we have several. Our U.S. festivals, like the L.A. Festival of Cinema, and the Oakland Short Film Festival, like those particularly are kind of next on the agenda. But we have several. I mean, our company is HF Productions, so it's named for our CEO Henrik Friest, and so yeah, I mean, we run these, all year round. We
Great.
have festivals almost every month. So there's always, so people can learn about all of our festivals through our site. Yeah, I mean, we're in 16 countries, so we
Wow.
run them from Wellington, New Zealand, and Sydney, Australia, yeah, to the U.S., to Iceland and Reykjavik, and obviously the Arctic in
Right.
Svalbard. So yeah,
So
I mean, they're all free to attend. They're all we have features and short films, but especially short films because we really want to provide opportunities for young and emerging filmmakers and stuff, and do what we can to be a support system. Yeah.
right. So obviously, two things. Number one, because of your schedule and the fact that you probably don't see dark much because of where you're at in the world at whatever point, and by the fact that you have that many film festivals, I'm just assuming that you don't sleep much. So
No, adrenaline is always a good thing to have a lot of, right?
coffee doesn't always do it. Passion will always do it.
Yeah.
There's a bumper
Well,
sticker.
in the Nordic region, we go winter bathing, so it's where you jump
Yeah.
in the freezing cold water for like 30 seconds, and 30 seconds is all you need. It's better than coffee, I swear. Everybody
Oh,
should try it.
I know it invigorates you. I have a pool, but I'm haven't gotten to the point of emptying my
I mean,
refrigerator ice in there yet.
LA folks can just jump in the Pacific. It's pretty cold.
It's pretty damn cold. I won't even go into that. Ben, thanks for hanging out with us. The website, of course, is down below, BENNWIEBE.com. Should have practiced that one. And of course, at the top, the Instagram is, of course, HF dot productions. Check that out, hf.productions.com. I'm sorry, not .com, but just whatever on Instagram. By the way, if you go later on, either today or maybe by Monday, we're going to have this show up and you can watch it again, send it to all your friends, and then maybe some other information about some of the other film festivals that they do have, and you can get out there and do it and make it happen and just say, hey, Will sent you. Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. And
Oh, thank
that's
you so
it. I
much.
can't think of anything else to tell you.
It's been a pleasure.
It
Yeah,
has been a
thank you so
pleasure.
much.
I'm going to take a small break. Thanks. I really appreciate it, Ben. We're going to take a small break, and all I'm going to do is show you a quick video. As an actor, I told you this before. I like to come up with really clever ideas, and I've showed this. This is something I came up with because I know actors can't market, casting directors, and everything. It's my way. I created something called a flash demo. I came up with the name, which is about a 46-second demo of my demo because I wanted people to do it. But I put an ad in the beginning and bought some spaces on places like Breakdown and everything, and it looks like this. Hey, thanks for clicking the banner. Now, I know you're dying to know what it is that makes a successful casting office or director or production. And the answer is actors. See, you can have a great script, great casting director, a director, producer, but here's the problem. You always need good actors. To be or not to be. But let's face it, there's way too many of us. And we can't market to you, which is odd considering that they call it show business, and that means that there's business in the show. We can't call you, we can't send you an email. We just submit to the breakdowns like the other 4,800 that submitted to you on that casting call, with no action-packed pitch letter, sales letter, and all we do is stand in line and remain quiet. Let's be honest. Lines are for Starbucks, not for careers. If I still have your attention, I want you to watch this next 46-second video. Now don't go away, because there's a quiz after this.
Detective Gennaro, I need to speak with Rex Wilson.
Rex is already out there on the speedway for his practice run.
You know what I mean.
Now let me see your shotgun.
Here, cool it down.
Just like your old man, huh?
Is there a problem, soldier? I'm asking you a question, Lieutenant.
Running in clown shoes. This is gonna be fun.
Time! What if they need more time? That wasn't so painful. And I even saw a couple of you laughing. So if you like what you saw, operators are standing by.
Yeah, Will Roberts is
he's an A-lister
great.
for sure.
Oh, you want to book him?
That's my agent. And if you didn't like my approach, well, I'm Daniel Craig, and I hope you enjoyed this commercial. So the idea, again, is I'm always telling performers, actors, and any creatives that I know there's lines that people want you to follow. Sometimes we have to step on them, over them, erase them, do whatever we can. And so I'm a firm believer that if you're sitting by your phone or your whatever, and you're thinking, gosh, I wish it would ring, in this day and age, find a way to approach people. By the way, have respect. Don't just get people on direct messages, because I get a lot of them. I've done films in Mumbai and in Brazil and in China, and I'm telling you, like, I get all these people going, hey, can you put me in a movie? I'm like, no, I don't know you. I don't, even if I did, the point is that that's not the way you do it. So I'm telling you, respect, but learn how to market yourself. I don't care what you do. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to bring on the next guest, and I appreciate the fact that I know he's waiting the rings, whatever, Mark. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a video first, and then we're going to launch into Mark, and we'll go from there. Hang tight. Here it is.
No way. How does it work?
Something about antimatter and black holes. I don't know, I'm not a scientist.
And just like that, you're talking to your future self?
Why'd you pick tonight?
Tonight is when you ruined everything.
Well, you got my attention. That's for sure. Got my attention. Hold on a second. You should be having a. Hold on a second. I'm missing something. Is there any way you can you put the lights out on that window that way? I'm getting this wonderful Jesus halo over you, but if you can,
you know what? Maybe I can turn myself around. Let's try that.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
I know we want to see you a little bit better, but
Yeah, for sure.
I'm all good. We'll make it happen.
All right.
Hey, where's today? Here we go. Mark 2. Bingo. There you go. Oh, I see.
Is that better?
Yeah, I know what you look like now. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, give yourself a little bit more headspace. I'm gonna get rid of this. That doesn't need to be there. There it is. Perfect. Mark,
Great.
I appreciate you coming on the show. By the way, that promo, I want to see what that film is because that looks awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. We're going to get a bunch of other stuff and everything and, hunker down because we're going to talk about you a little bit while you're here.
Yeah. So Hey, It's Me is a short film that I made with my wife, who's my filmmaking partner. I'm just repping for the two of us today, but we direct everything together.
Great.
So it's a film about a guy who gets a chance to redo the most pivotal moment in his life via a phone call from his future self.
Wow. I love the old phones there. Most people are like, what the hell is that?
Right? Yeah, we felt like, it's funny, that phone was a prop from our previous short, and we just kind of wanted to do something cool with it, and we eventually wound up building the story around that prop.
And I love the whole, in caging it, and I almost wanted to yell out bat phone, but, I mean, that's pretty cool. Where are you at anyway?
So I'm from New York. We lived in Brooklyn for almost a decade, but we just moved to Harrington Park, New Jersey, which is near New York. But we had our first child, our daughter Lola, and we needed to give her more of a place to grow up and run around than a little Brooklyn apartment.
Applause for the new child.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, good. And I think what you just said to me I'm going to spring into my thing I talk about all the time, saying you just don't have to be in LA. You just don't have to be in LA. And I am finding, again, been doing this for 40 years as a professional actor, but a point of the matter is that everything is changing. I mean, I now have like 7 agents around the country, and the reason being is because it's not just here. I'm in LA, and you're cutting yourself short thinking that, so many people, I know you probably understand this and maybe felt this, think that at some point they go, if I'm not in LA, am I going to be successful? Or New York. But am I right on that?
You are completely right. Yeah. And we're still questioning that ourselves, but we're New Yorkers through and through. And, my wife actually, like a true New Yorker, she was born somewhere else and she came there, but I was born in New York, and I feel like, it's just my home, and I'll never say never, but I don't have any immediate plans to pack up and go to the West Coast.
Yeah, no, and again, I don't think that, I think people are finding, because a lot of the breakdowns and the things I get and auditions are coming from Atlanta, they're coming from New Jersey, they're coming from Oklahoma, they're coming from, the point is that I don't know whether or not our industry here in LA has done that to themselves, but between tax incentives and people just going, wait a second, I have the same equipment as you do, why can't I do it here? Yeah. And now with, the advent of phones and social media and film festivals, it makes it something where you, Mark, can put your film festival, and like I've done with the short I did on a phone in Pernambuco, Brazil, it's been around the world. And there is no reason why you can't do something. And at the end of the day, you shouldn't feel that, well, if I was here, I would probably be better off. I don't know if that's true anymore.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like you said, like you made a whole film on your iPhone. We're just in this era where, anything is possible if you just have the ambition and the drive and, the dedication.
Yeah. And I've said this earlier in the show, you weren't here, but thank you, Blair Witch. Because I can shoot stuff through my wife beater t-shirt. I don't think that's politically correct anymore. But I can shoot stuff through cheese and people will be like, whoa, that's an awesome Lux. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can do almost anything you want. You just purely have to believe that there are no boundaries and you have to go for it. Let's talk about film festivals. Have you been submitting this? Where is the project at this point?
Oh man, this project has had such a wild run for us, at least. I mean, we're indie filmmakers, and obviously, like, the dream is Sundance, but in lieu of that, we've gone to amazing festivals. We premiered at Austin. We played at CineQuest. LA Shorts, Holly Shorts. We got into the Bushwick Film Festival that's coming up. It's for us, it's just been like a dream come true. These are, places that with our previous film, we didn't quite reach that level. And for us, it's showing some really steady progress. And I feel like that's such a great thing to just, just keep improving yourself, keep reaching that next step in your career.
Yeah. No. And again, it's nice to be able to create something and know that you're not going to be shortchanged, and you're not going to sit there for a year going, so what do we do now? I mean, back in the day, when did you start personally in this industry?
So that's a great question. My wife went to film school, and it's been her dream her whole life to be a filmmaker. I am a designer and creative director. I went to art school for visual art, and I really just got into this about 4 years ago when I started helping my wife kind of like just get her stuff off the ground, and we realized that we actually make a good team, and that was the key. And it kind of like, for me, awakened this passion that I didn't know I had, and it was so exciting to like just find this new part of myself that I didn't really know was there, up until I turned 30, which was really, really cool. So I studied screenwriting. I took night classes and read a lot of books, and I started writing scripts, and then I started learning all of the craft from my wife, who learned all that stuff herself over the years. She's an amazing editor. She works on films and TV. Right now, her day job is doing promos for Showtime. So, she has a lot of experience, which is cool. Yeah. She was the post-production soup on Beyonce's HBO documentary.
Wow.
So she's done a lot of stuff like that. But, her thing was she wanted to write and direct. And we both just have this like fiery passion to do the same thing. We have similar sensibilities, and we just kind of fill each other's gaps. And that's the great thing. So we're just like really, really good partners. So I'm new at it. She kind of has a lot of the know-how, and, I just bring something else to the table, and together we just make a really nice partnership.
And that's great because, I would never, ever think of doing that with my wife.
We get that a lot. People are like, well, have you tried to murder each other yet? And so far, with this stuff, it's just been really smooth for the most part.
Yeah, I will go a little bit in depth with what I just said, and is that my wife and I have had before I was with Cirque du Soleil, because I was with them for 3.5 years doing my act, and before that we have a Wild West company. I had a mechanical bull company, and by all means, she's really good at all the the behind the scenes and doing stuff. And we were going around the world about 105 times a year, and that was awesome because we knew what to do. But she was constantly telling me, remember I told you need to do this, so I'm okay with not having that part now. But I will say that if you do find, this is a hard thing to do, if you find a mate, a person that you work with, a team member, that you have that relationship where you can work together and you understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, that is really tough in a relationship, especially in this industry. Because before this, I was with someone, I'll say my wife's in the other room, but before this, I was with someone for about 13 or 14 years, and she was an actress. That was the worst time of my life.
Wow.
Because it was always a competition, and obviously I was more successful because she was a nurse normally. And, I remember I got a job. I was a Fox Kids Club host for about 7 years on air. And when I got that job, it was funny because it was like, well, I'm going to go do my real job. I'm like, what the do you think I'm doing? I mean, you know what I mean? So the bottom line is that in all that I'm saying, if you can find someone that you work together and you're cohesive, you are so lucky. So I'm glad.
Thank you. I agree. I feel very fortunate. And, I have to be honest here. I could be a screenwriter on my own, but I couldn't, at the moment, I could not be a director on my own. We are absolutely two halves of a whole, and that's how we do things. And it's been working for us so far.
And I would say, just so you know, the best method as a guy for me is to realize that my wife is a lot smarter than me.
Yeah, that's true.
I've made up the phrase behind every successful man is a woman in front of him with his car keys and directions so he doesn't get lost. The truth. I'd be walking into walls. Anyway,
that's right.
So let's talk a little bit about the future. Are you in the process of, you said screenwriting, are you in the process of creating another project because you just can't wait? Or are you just riding the wave on what you're doing with the current one?
Yeah, we have so much cooking. So back to the festivals for a moment, that opened up a lot of doors for us, which was really interesting. So we're getting distribution from Dust, which is the sci-fi division of Gunpowder and Sky. That is a dream come true. I'm a huge science fiction fan, and I love Dust, and just as a consumer. And this is just incredible to be part of their family. And there's from there we got a lot of, I think it was LA shorts. When we screened there, we got some interest from Hollywood, believe it or not. We got hooked up with a junior development executive who was interested in the series, in the short and turning it into a series.
Yeah.
So
it looks like that, by the way. It definitely looks like, which is awesome. By the way, I'll be sending you my demo. I was watching this going, dude, this is like awesome, because I could see this being a series. Now you just got to get busy and do the Bible and
Right. No, I mean, that's exactly what happened. We found that even though we wrote it and conceived of it as just like a one-off, it was just, it has a beginning, middle, and end. It tells a complete story.
Yeah.
There's so much more that people were interested in. Just our feedback was like, well, this is cool. So what happens next? And what's going on in this world and like another corner of it? And, what could this mean for other people? So, we've been working with this executive to develop like kind of an anthology TV series where we tell stories of different people that get these phones,
cool.
But it comes together in a way. So like there's an overarching like an Uber story that kind of culminates towards the finale, and then in the finale the doors get blown off and you realize all these separate people actually have something in common. So that's something where, we're kind of like, we're developing. It's not, there's no green light or anything, but we definitely made a series Bible, and we mapped out our episodes and our character arcs. And, we're kind of just in the process of like working on that and hoping that that's going to go somewhere. But if it doesn't, we also might write just a feature version of this thing where, maybe we scale it back, fewer characters, but, it's still kind of a similar type of a story. And something that maybe we could do, very indie, like without the backing of a Hollywood producer.
Sure.
So that's going on. We're so excited about the Hey, It's Me concept, and it's bigger now than just the short. But we also have a feature we're developing, a separate feature too. So it's like, we're just kind of working on everything full steam ahead, and we're just going to see what hits first.
Is it still sci-fi, the new one?
Yeah, it's just, so it's a feature that I wrote. My wife is into all different things, but I'm like a sci-fi lunatic, and that's kind of all when I sit down to write, everything becomes some version of a sci-fi idea. So the other feature is the story of a grieving journalist who encounters a guy who says he's from the future, and she has to kind of figure out if he's telling the truth or not. And he warns of impending doom, and she has to like decide whether to help him or run away screaming. So
I already want to see it.
Thank you.
But I will tell you one thing I want to make a note about. It's called Hey, It's Me, right?
Yes.
One thing I will say is I think the way you shot it and you put it together has that quality, which is smart, that quality of like, I've seen this show on the air before type of, like you watch it and I go, Yeah, I could like my kids, like what lemony snickets or whatever, or it has a, it almost has that feel because I have a 7 and a 10-year-old, and
Nice.
my wife and the kids we're always watching that style type of thing where you can see the demographics and the people and the way it's shot, and you go, yeah, I mean it looks like a series. So again, I say that to you just because I commend you on the way you put it together because I think it looks really, really good.
Thank you so much. And really, like, it's a cliche, but it takes a village. I mean, our DP was so instrumental. We've been working with him, and we're also making right now in the middle of a short that's told completely on screens. It was something we were able to do during COVID, but our DP is helping us with the technical requirements
You mean
there
the
too.
remote?
And he's
Remote.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you know what?
Yeah.
That's a very good, really quickly, a very good subject is that, I have on my page, if you look at my actorwillroberts.com, I have a COVID page and my agents are like, whoa, this is amazing. I go, yeah, I've got 2 4Ks. I've got, all my lights. Obviously my stuff looks good. And I'm like, I have a voiceover studio because I'm a voiceover guy. And I'm like, and you would be surprised actually in the breakdowns, how many people are saying, can we do a remote shoot? And I live in a place called Temecula, which is a wine region. So
wow.
I step outside Meyer and you're like, damn. And there's always like 10 balloons in the sky.
Oh, man.
The point is that, again, using your resources no matter where you're at and being able to, this industry is difficult enough. And quite honestly, looking at your lower thirds, designer, creative director, filmmaker, I even left out educator, I think it was.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to say is that if you just have one thing in your name, actor, then it might be a lonely world. And one note I want to make on this, and I want you to comment on this if you don't mind. You okay on time?
Sure. I'm fine. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Back in the 80s when I started, 81 or 2, you were only an actor. That's it. If you went to anywhere and, we have black and white photos and you'd go to your agent, and I was in the Bay Area, San Francisco area. If you said, and I wasn't at the time, I was an actor. And if you said, I'm an actor, a writer, and a director, they'd be like, make up your mind. Okay.
Right.
Now, honestly, if you don't see that people have multiple labels, but you have to actually know how to do them, folks. Then, and by the way, Google and YouTube ain't it. But the point is that if you don't have those things, then number one, I think you're missing the boat. And number two, I think that you're missing opportunities that people might go, I would like to have this person on my team. I mean, I'm looking at your stuff and going, look, you're designer, creative director, filmmaker, educator, whatever. And I just think that that's a thing that everybody should be considering because it's not 20, 40 years ago. God damn, 40 years. It is now, it is now in this day and age, the best time to create. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I got to agree with you on every point you just made. Without the technology and the shifting zeitgeist in the film world, I could never be telling these stories.
Nope.
Like you said, I mean, someone like me who, didn't have a background in film probably wouldn't really have a path forward if it wasn't for the time I was born, and came of age in this digital era that we're in, and it's so important to learn, like you said, like to learn all aspects of both the filmmaking process, but then, other related things are important too. Mm-hmm. For me, being a designer, I do all of our visual design and our marketing and our promotion for our stuff. And what's great is the film is having an amazing run, but like the poster I designed for it just won a graphic design award. And so the two halves of me are actually working together to, just kind of fuel each other. And I find that I didn't have to, turn my back on being a designer to become a filmmaker. It all kind of works together.
Yeah, and that's the point is that, and I said this with our last interview, Ben, is that if you don't do, in this industry, I guess in any business, but if you just do one thing in this industry, the problem that you're going to face is it's going to be hard to sort of sustain an income because you are only looking in one, you got one egg in a basket and you're like, what do I do? I'm only a whatever. And there's not enough work out there. The point is that the more that you have, the more depth you bring to the projects and the more skills, the more valuable you are. And honestly, the more valuable you are for your future. So
Yeah.
I love that. I want to end with a question that I kind of ask all the time. And here it is. Best 4-letter word in this English language is free. But I want you to give us a little free advice. And here's why. I'm going to spin this on you because of something you told me. I want you to tell us about something that you feel. I want you to give us some advice. It could be about film. It could be about creative. It could be about life. It could be about how to pick the best, Starbucks drink. I don't really care. But what I want you to do is understand now that the depth of your world has been changed because you just had a child.
Yes.
So with that being said, and I know you probably just got this I got a rush thinking about that because I remember when my baby girl and my baby boy came, and I'm an actor. So for 40 years, I stayed out of any kind of real relationship. And people go, well, why do you have kids now? You're your age. And I'm like, because I realized that guys are not really adults until their 40s. Most of the time. They want to especially actor guys, Actor guys my age have their shirts down to here.
Right.
Anyway, but I want you to give me free advice, and I bet you anything that now, because of the new thing, again, congratulations on the new baby, I bet that might reflect a little bit. All you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, having Lola did change everything. And, I had all this passion before, but now I'm looking at everything through a different lens. And I'm always thinking about, well, what is my daughter going to think of what I'm doing, down the line? Which is she going to look back and be proud? And I'm very proud of, my parents are both artists and designers, so I'm very proud of what they've done. And they set a great template for me, and I just want to live up to that for Lola. So my advice is, if you have something to say, if you have passion, say it. Because it's not just for you. There's people that, someday might look back on what you've done and that might inspire them. And that's kind of what my whole creative existence was built around, was being inspired by my parents and other people around me and, people I look up to. And there's no one that looks at you the same way as your children. So be the best version of yourself for your kids. And if you're creative, it means really going for it and just doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself.
You're right. You can bullshit your friends, but you cannot bullshit your kids. They won't go for it. I really appreciate you coming on the show. How do you say your last name?
Sposato. It's Italian, so if you want to add a little inflection, you go sposato.
Okay. Well, I got my partner Sal in the wings here. He's Framandi. So, and I tell him I always make the joke, if I don't say it right, I'm going to be wearing some concrete shoes. So there, I got 2 Italians on the show now. I'm actually 12% Italian, so I can, and then Greek and some other things. I have no idea.
Nice.
Anyway, really appreciate you coming on the show. I really want to thank you, and we're going to have you check back with us again. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'm hearing.
I'm sorry.
Is that you or me?
There's some construction outside, and I apologize for that.
No, it's all right. All of a sudden, I'm hearing hearing humming.
I thought the headphones would cover it.
Do you hear humming?
I think it's someone's taking down a tree next door.
All right, good time to get rid of you.
Nice
talking to you, my friend.
Hey, it was a real pleasure.
Yeah, you too. I really
Thank you so much.
I know your piece is going to go places, and you two are going to be, as you are already, a dynamic team. Thanks again. I'm going to have you on the show again and check back with you, and I appreciate your time. I hope you have a great day, and congratulations again. Okay, brother?
Thank you so much. I would love that.
All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
Will.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with the show. I'm going to end it with, yeah, it was his audio. There was something weird going on. And I'm like hearing someone going, I don't think he heard that part. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Sal Frondi, you're on. I'm good, except for I muted you. I think I muted you there. No, I can't hear you. Hold on, Sal. Hold on, Sal.
You can hear me. All right. All right.
Yeah, but you're behind. Again. Why are
Can you hear me now?
I can, but your mouth is way off. Call back in.
Oh.
Yeah, hang up. All right. I'll leave that open. Wow, what a great show. I know we had a bit of an issue. I was looking at one of my social media guy. He is on the air as well. And by the way, okay, Sal?
Yes, can you hear me?
Your mouth matches. Yeah, by the way, I want to show you that right here I have, this is I'm hitting my microphone. The gentleman that made the comment up there, he is my social media guy from my Will Roberts official, and he is phenomenal. He's done a great job. When I did a couple of films, in Brazil and mainly Mumbai, India, I started getting a plethora of a lot of fake followers because that's what happens if you have is a lot of times if you work in India or something like that. A lot of people, because I did a film called ABCD2 for Disney, and apparently it's one of the top grossing Bollywood films in the world. It was an awesome time going to Mumbai. But the fact is that I picked up a lot of like funky people. So this gentleman, and I'm going to bring something on, I'll put a commercial in the show here soon where you can book him on Fiverr to be able to, look, he said, Sal, he'll give you a fireball. All right. I don't know what that means, but I don't know, maybe you're hot. Maybe for the first time. Anyway, they like the not shaven look. Anyway,
it's the hat.
The hat. But the point is that, actually, total weird side note is that remember back in the 70s and 80s when you had the calculators, if you turned it upside down and you typed the thing, it said Shell Oil. Okay, sorry. Oh, side note. But I'll put a commercial on for my social media guy because if you are someone that needs to have, he's cleaning out the account. He's also putting up. Actually, as a matter of fact, put it if you see this, I want you to put the Fiverr link or something like that. I'm going to put it up in the top, and we'll do an ad soon because he really does quite well at getting me the right, the right hashtags and posting my stuff. No hot, he is awesome. Okay, apparently, no, you're not hot, but you're awesome. So, anyway, if he puts in his information, I'll put it there, but we'll do it later. Hey, what a great show. Both of the people, they were awesome.
Great people. It's good. Sometimes you just also want to kind of, talk to human beings that can share their heart and their experiences. I had a great time. Every show is different. Today was great.
Every time we do the show, it makes me want to do it 6 days or 5 days. Sorry, makes me every day, 24 hours. It makes me want to do it like this all the time and get this going because what has happened for me, and I know you, is that we really. In the beginning, when you started doing this 7-8 years ago, I know you were looking at, you were kind of ahead of your time by big time. You knew that film festivals were going to be something big. And, back 7-8 years ago, were they bigger? I don't think so. There's 10,000 now and growing every week, you tell me. But the magnitude of and the possibilities of film festivals. Mark is in New Jersey, and he's like, yeah, I've been all over the world with our short. And Ben, he's got multiple film festivals, awesome, and he agrees as well that if you're not taking advantage of the film festivals and looking them up, and obviously following us on Oprime TV on Instagram or oprime.tv is just a website, you're missing something.
It's part of the industry, you know what I mean? And it's a confluence, if that's the right word, of a couple of things. Technology, where cable is and where kind of like the television industry vis-a-vis the computer. all of these things are coming in. You know, the economy is developing, you know, more away from Hollywood, so the independent film industry is starting to develop and mature. And that's really kind of what it is. It's going to mature. I think independent filmmaking is going to be really lucrative for the people, like maybe the 80% of the people at the top right now that have no money. Those people are going to start making good money, and it's just going to kind of trickle down as filmmakers create more, improve on their craft.
Well,
and,
they're gonna.
and
I mean,
film
I agree
festivals.
with you totally, but I think on another level, they're going to also help redefine the industry because for the longest time, it's always been one an LA thing. Number two, it's always been you had to have the money to do this, to get the team, to
Yes.
do this, to do the distribution. And that's really definitely changing. I hate to give this analogy, but I kind of feel like film festivals are kind of like Bitcoin
Mm.
in the sense that, and I mean that sincerely,
Yeah.
is that, there are people right now, as I look at my account, that, oh, it's 11/11, make a wish. Okay, I did. But the point is that there are people out there doing that and buying that, and not buying the standard stock stuff or putting stuff into the bank. Obviously, there's risk, but there's risk in putting your time and money into film festivals. But I think what's happening is that behind the scenes, what's happening is that we're seeing that it's redefining the industry. It's also giving people that didn't have the money and opportunities and the parents in the industry to be able to produce things and have people go, yeah, you're standing next to on the red carpet with Steven Spielberg. Yeah, wave to him because he dug the film you did. Doesn't that blow your mind?
Yeah. I actually, who was it that made I think it was Steven Spielberg, and he said something interesting, and it's one of the things that kind of motivated me when I first started. He said something very interesting, and he said, I look for directors that I want to work with on YouTube and their music videos, and that's sufficient. That is a sufficient amount of information that I need to make a determination. Yes.
Well, when you think about it, that's actually very smart because you're going to get the highest level of something creatively, but you're also going to get a mini film. So if a person can show and do things and you go, in that course of time, you're like, I need to buy that music. Then, I mean, Michael Jackson comes to my mind, but like doing Thriller and doing, Smooth Criminal, which, by the way, I was in my show in Cirque du Soleil was directed and created by Vincent Patterson, who is Smooth Criminal, Vogue from Madonna. So when you look at that and you go, oh yeah, I want, they understand in the course of a 2.5 minute song, most cases, how to actually have the audience watch a mini film, feature film.
Yeah. Well, when he said this was ahead of its time. It's still ahead of its time, but this is like 7 years ago. Yeah. And with me, I was kind of like, very interesting. That's an alternative way of getting into Hollywood. You know what I mean? YouTube, right?
Well, yeah.
7 years ago?
Yeah, no. And again, I know a handful of music video people and I've done their videos, and again, you got to be able to cram it into a certain time frame and know that when you're doing this, you're like, we're not going to do that because we need it to go and it's got to end. And when you get in there and they've got like 3 hours worth of footage or whatever. Point is that they have to make it something that not only, because you don't have to sell anything in a film, you just make a film. In a music video, you're selling something. So you really have to make it to where the people are so motivated by the story and the music and quite honestly, I don't think in most cases when you're talking about Beyonce or Michael Jackson or anybody else that is an artist, they're not going to pick just anybody. They're going to grab someone that has a sort of I guess you'd say a music video or perhaps film background that goes, oh, we love what you did with this. Can you do it with this? So, so many variables that really have to do with success. But here we are in this day and age, and that does exist. Sal from London. right there in the East Coast. Again, great show. I appreciate you hanging out. We got more to come. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tell your friends about this. If you want to be on the show, you can let us know. We do have some really great stuff on filmfestivallive.com in regards to if you need help with your marketing on the film festivals. Sal is like freaking the professor from Gilligan's Island. Maybe not the best example, but the only thing I can think of in my head. But you actually kind of look like him right now. And like you've been there for a few days.
A little plumper, though. Well fed.
Yeah. You were on the other side of the island where they had fish and meat.
Yes.
Protein. But no, I mean that because you have created some great stuff. Well, we have created some great stuff. Can you briefly give me example or give them an example of some of the things that you're bumping into as a need for film festivals, and two, how we've managed to take care of that?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that we are fascinated with here in terms of the marketing is really Instagram, because right now Instagram for the film festival is, I think, the best avenue. I've been researching film festivals for like a couple of years now. You know, you've seen lists that I've put together. Film festivals are on one of three places, basically. They're on Instagram, they're on Facebook, and they're on Twitter. The film festival employees, you know, the people on the back end, now they're on LinkedIn. Yeah. But the place where you can really connect with the film festivals the best with the, you know, vis-a-vis the cost, you know, because marketing on Facebook is expensive, and it's also, Facebook is huge, you know what I mean? It's hard to like really kind of get into what you're trying to do, but you can do that on Instagram. And we have spent a lot of time and money tracking how Instagram posts perform. Right. And that's one of I think that is something that's ahead of its time, because Instagram's been around, but I think that people are now, it's starting to get saturated. So people with money are starting to realize that if they have to go to the next level, they have to come up with an Instagram marketing budget.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and, you know, I'll tell you a very interesting thing that happened, and I'll see if I can find the picture of it. But, yeah, I mean, Instagram is by far the place to go. I do these ads for this company. I'm not saying where they're at or anything, but I do these ads, and they're these portrait ads about services and stuff like that and everything. But anyway, here's a picture of it, and I'm talking about dental implants. And I have to be honest with you. Someone sent this to me saying, "Hey, I saw your ad on Instagram," and I'm like, "Oh." So I sent the person that I work with in Florida, the company that I do like sometimes 4 or 5 of these a month, and he goes, "That's not us." What? They took it. They ripped it from the ad. Wow. They put their stuff on it and driving people to it. And they have another one too that they did. And so anyway, my only point is that Instagram is very successful at being able to get to people. One other thing I'll say is that Facebook, however, I hate the ads on Facebook, and the reason why is because I can't tell you how many times I've ordered something off of Facebook. I don't do it anymore, but I basically, like, there was a lightsaber that I ordered because it was like the real hilt. I have one that was like really cool, and it has the real light, and it's like those things can be like $900 to $1,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, and I'm like, oh wow, look at this one. It's like 65. There's no way. It was actually $150 or something, and I ordered it like a year and a half ago. It got here. It was a freaking piece of plastic shit that you go like this, and it goes with the telescoping thing, and I'm like, what? I have been ripped off. So I got a keyboard that looked like old typewriter once, because I like old typewriters. Showed up, it was a piece of shit, flat little bullshit Bluetooth thing, and I'm like, it was probably something you bought at the dollar store. Point is that I don't like Facebook.
Yeah, I
really likes
Facebook. They're becoming too big, and because they want to be virtual, and they think that everything can be done without a human being. Yeah. So when you start interacting with Facebook and you start having problems with it, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I talked to a film. I had a conference call with a new film festival director. Okay, so he just started his film festival, and I'm talking to him about Instagram and paid ads and so on and so forth. And he says, "Yeah, I wish I could do it, but I can't. They locked me out. I owe them $10. I've been trying to pay, but for some reason I can't find any place to pay. So I can't use Instagram. I can't use Facebook ads." I was speechless. $10, but
Yeah,
I
I had that
understand
too.
because if you got a problem with Facebook, like where are you gonna contact?
Yeah, no,
I'll tell you this. One quick story about Facebook. Yeah. It used to be a way you could do it. You can't do it anymore. All right. If you put down money for a paid ad, yeah, and you somehow run out. What happened was I ran out of cash. Okay, so like I think the paid ad was like $30, and I had like $25 in the account or whatever. So it didn't go through. So I get an email from somebody at Facebook, and I call, and we talked, and I talked to the guy for like an hour, taking notes about the analytics and everything. But that's the only time you can get in touch with them, when you owe them money.
Oh, absolutely. They'll call you all day. Yeah, you can give me all day long, but you're right. It's like I'm trying to figure out stuff. Like, for instance, on my Instagram, I'm trying to contact them, which, by the way, is Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to contact them and say, hey, I got a problem. I'm spending all this money on Instagram and doing promoting and so on, but I'm getting all these fake followers, and I've been trying to get verified. I mean, you'd think with some of the things I've done,
yeah,
that I should get verified.
Yes.
And I've not. I've spent 10 years since they started trying to do it. But one of the things is that because I had all these fake followers. Well, I'm like, number one, can you tell me how I can take care of this and not have these people push in 100 at a time? Or can you tell me how I can get rid of the fake likes? And have I heard anything? Crickets.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Where would you contact them to become a certified Instagram site? There's no place to do it. There's verified. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
do it. It's in the back end. In the back end.
Yeah, but would you email them? Because I've sent emails. I haven't gotten any responses.
No, you don't.
Nothing.
No.
So what's the use?
If you go into Instagram and you go into the back end here.
Yeah. And then
And then down below you go into like settings or something like that, I think. And you can actually, somewhere in here. Yeah. Anyway, account. Here it is. Account. Request verification. And then what you do is you go in there and you have to put in all your information. For the longest time, I couldn't do that because my stage name is different than my real name. And they're like, you got to prove it. I'm like, the fuck? How about you look at my website? Or maybe the business card I'm holding up with the ID of my driver's license. Anyway. Sal Formondi, of course, oprime.tv. There is 2 P's in that. Oprime.tv. Check it out. And if you have a film, you're a filmmaker, you want to check out that place. That's getting overhaul, and it's going to be even more awesome here, coming to a theater near you, or it is the theater near you. Really appreciate everything you do, and we'll see you again on the next show, I think maybe Monday.
Awesome.
Not a holiday for us.
Nope.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon. All right, everybody. That's the show. We went on for a little bit, hour and a half almost. Well, what the hell? Appreciate your time. Yeah, 1 hour, 18 minutes. Have a great day. Be safe, be well. And if you get a chance and you're around people, wear one of these. And then also get yourself vaccinated, unless you live in Oklahoma. You know what that means if you watch the news. I'll talk to you soon. Be well.
Uh-huh.